Okay, so we're going to start with these crazy, desperate Democrats. I had Chris Cuomo on Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David's show. It got into a pretty heated debate, apparently. I watched a bit of it and just decided to watch this clip on camera. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous the way that these Dems seem to contradict themselves. It usually makes me feel like I gotta dig deeper into where they come from, where their education stems from, because when they stop making sense, you gotta wonder, who are they connected to? Let's have a look at this clip here.
Chris, ready? So 16 out of 50 states in America do not require an ID to vote. You don't have to be a left, right, or center person to say that doesn't make sense. What are your thoughts on this, the way we're voting today?
There's a lot that goes to it. You know, you have half the representation of the U.S. government represents 1/3 of the population. Why? Because of how we do it with the Senate and redistricting rules and stuff like that. So there's a fundamental imbalance. Voter ID, here are the two arguments, and you can assess them how you want. Is it that, I forget how it was explained earlier, but I don't know that it's that the government, whatever that means, if you want to ascribe it all to one groupthink, doesn't trust blacks or think minorities are capable of or whatever. But the argument is that culturally, socioeconomically, as you go down in terms of the poverty level, as poverty becomes more important, there's less.
It doesn't make any sense what he's trying. Like, he just rambles on about, and we'll keep watching, but he just keeps rambling on. And nothing he says, just like what Democrats and liberals tend to do, they just beat around the bush. They never actually address the point. And then eventually Candace just fucking asks him. Let's keep going.
Connection with government. There's less percentage of people who want to interface with government and who have identification. So the argument is, if you say you need an ID to vote, you will have an unfair bias against those strata of society that don't tend to get IDs and don't want to deal with government.
Okay, but
What the fuck is he talking about? Oh, we're better than these people because we have ID and they don't. These are really low-class citizens. They're so low they don't have IDs. What the fuck is he talking about?
I'm just saying that is the argument.
No, it's not an argument to lie, okay? Because
But
it's
that
not
is
about,
the
you
argument.
don't get an ID because you want to engage with government. You get an ID because you want to drive. You get an ID because you're 19
Right.
and you're 21 and you want to have your first drink. You get an ID because you quite literally need an ID to do so many things in
That's
society.
true.
So forget it. You wouldn't say that people that are in a lower socioeconomic class are never drinking, are never driving, are never doing all of the other things that are required, never seeing a movie, like, that's above PG-16. You need an ID to do so much in life. So you're focusing, this is the lie. You're saying, well, they don't tend to vote. That might be true. That might definitely be true.
No, they
but
don't
that's
tend
not
to
why
have
they're getting an
IDs.
ID. That's not why they're getting an ID. So
I understand.
they're just lying.
I understand. I don't think it's a lie. It could be wrong. It could be a
If
false
it's wrong,
assumption.
then it's a lie. If you keep saying it, if it's
No.
wrong and you keep saying it, it becomes a lie, right?
Now, I'm going to tell you something, and you're not going to like it, but that's not my problem. It is not even this issue. It's not both sides of the aisle. The right, until voter ID, has consistently been against anything that would increase who votes.
Okay,
And I think there are reasons for that. But I am in favor
Can I ask you a
of this.
yes or no?
Yes or no?
Ready? Can we play that game again?
Yes. Did I
Should
get it right?
Americans be required to have ID to vote? Chris, yes or no?
No. And I'll tell you why.
Wow.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Until I see fraud rates that go along with the distinction, I don't believe that you.
Yeah, anyway, that's the gist of that video. Making absolutely no sense until he sees fraud evidence. Isn't that sort of impossible to detect if you're not having ID attached to votes? If the votes are just coming in massive amounts and there's no registry associated with each individual vote, How will you detect the fraud? How will it ever be detected? They know that there's no answer to this question. They know that they can yammer on about the same talking point and never make any sense whatsoever. That's the whole politician's answer. But it's funny because when you look at these people these Democrats, when they don't make any sense, like I said at the beginning, you go in and you do some searching and you find out that you go to his education and he's a Yale boy. Yale University, the home of the Skull and Bones. And George W. Bush was a Skull and Bones. The Bush family are Skull and Bones. I mean, these secret societies are everywhere. And, you know, when you check out a lot of these Democrats, a lot of them happen to go to, for some reason, Jesuit colleges. I'm not sure. I won't say much more than that. But, you know, these Jesuit colleges seem to be home to a lot of these irrational Democrats these days, including our trusted Trudeau up in Canada. Something to think about when you start looking at the history of these things and you follow these dates back. And there are answers down those paths that you can't really talk about in the public forums like YouTube and social media, because they are, as many people talk about, shadow banned. And we'll see if maybe this video gets shadow banned on its own. Things to think about when you look at Gavin Newsom, an irrational Democrat destroying California. He happens to be, went to Santa Clara University. All these Democrats, they just don't seem to be able to say anything bad about each other. Even Bill Maher just says, I just like the guy. I don't know, I just like the guy. Like, you like the guy. What about what he's done to the state that you live in? So, like I said, if you start seeing these Democrats saying things that are complete nonsense, look at where they went to school and start putting those pieces together, and I bet you're going to start coming across a lot of different answers. Let's jump over to Andrew Tate, because he has gotten arrested again, and it seems to have come right after his podcast about the Oscars.
Let me explain to everybody how the world works. Oscars are a reward for being owned. Congratulations, you've been a good slave to the Matrix. You've been a good cog in the system. You don't get an Oscar unless they're happy with you. How and why would they be happy with you? Well, I don't think many people understand that streaming is a relatively new phenomenon. And streamers becoming cultural icons is certainly a very new phenomenon. 5-6 years.
Yeah.
You can become well-known.
And streamers that I have noticed, and he mentions Logan Paul here in this podcast, but streamer that I've talked about a lot lately is Destiny. Forgotten his real name again. But he's been making the rounds. He just did a debate with Candace Owen. He's done a debate with Ben Shapiro on Lex Friedman. He just did another debate that I was watching, a long one that I'm in the middle of, 4-hour long debate with some historians in regard to the Israel Hamas. And the one thing about Destiny is he knows his stuff. And I said this in the last video I did about him. He knows his stuff. He's not an idiot, like Andrew's saying here. There are some people that are being, it seems like they're joining the other side because they are starting to say things that, just don't make sense. Let's keep going.
The internet, streaming on a platform like Rumble because of free speech, without a gatekeeper.
True.
But traditionally, normally, if you want to get famous in any sphere, there is gatekeeping. So let me give you some examples. If you want to become a famous streamer, you can't say anything against the Matrix or YouTube will stop you.
Yes.
There's a wall. This is the wall. And at some point, the wall
Turns gay.
turns gay.
It's a rainbow wall.
It's a rainbow. If I had more colors, I'd do a rainbow wall.
We're going to go black and blue.
Nice. So you're a person, right? And you-
Gatekeepers, this chat's saying.
Gatekeepers. Nice.
Gatekeepers.
So you're a person and you have dreams and ambitions. This is you, person.
I'm going to illustrate this with a graph.
You're a guy and you want to become an actor or a singer or a streamer or a novelist. Doesn't matter what you want to be. And you think that your talent and your hard work will get you there. And then you realize you need some networking. You need to know the right people. And then you're going to realize that sooner or later, you're going to come up to a gatekeeper. And a gatekeeper is either going to be a publicist, a manager, an agent, a production company, a streaming platform. It doesn't matter if it's YouTube. It doesn't matter if it's Warner Brothers. Sooner or later, for you to be well known, you're going to have to do a deal with the people who are in charge.
Or let's talk about John Cena and the Oscars, because this is what Tate and those guys are saying. He was doing his shame ritual or his humiliation ritual or whatever, which very well could be.
Oh my God, a naked guy. Wow.
You know,
look at all those fucking actresses sitting in the crowd. Oh my God. This is so funny. It's not even fucking funny. Where's the joke here? Not only is he humiliating himself, and we all know why, but they're trying to pretend it's a joke. What's funny?
I gotta say, those guys are pretty funny. I've never really sat and watched one of their podcasts before, and this one I actually sat through, and I mean, it's pretty funny stuff. It's pretty funny stuff. Bottom line is, masculinity is still on the attack. Everybody knows this. Anybody in, that sphere, red pill sphere, whatever sphere you want to fucking talk about, everybody knows that masculinity is under attack. And last night, or whatever that night was, John Cena, I mean, it makes sense. It's believable that he was, out there doing Hollywood's bidding to emasculate men. And, at the Oscars, what was the big winner? It was the Big Man movie. The Big Man movie pulled off the big win, and the Big Girl movie failed again, which, seems to be the running theme at these events. The female movies always are the bridesmaid, never the bride. They never seem to win Best Director or Best... and that being said, I mean, I thought Barbie was, pretty silly. It definitely was a movie that was trying to talk about the patriarchy, and young girls who still comment, oh, it's the patriarchy. Every now and again on comments on my videos, you'll get some girl talking about the patriarchy. And of course she gets eaten alive by, other people. But this attack on masculinity is still happening. And but, the world is always going to be a boys' club, not because I say it is, but because that's the way it always has been. The secret societies of the world have always suggested that they are boys' clubs. So, people have to understand that we're all just being manipulated, just like the Tate brothers said, that, the Matrix, whatever they want to call it, it's a real thing. And people are fucking with us. And masculinity is one of the most important things in our society. And, I got into a bit of a debate with a few of the commenters in one of my last videos about the road rage. And, you get these beta males commenting in the comments. And, sure, we love all the comments. The comments are great. Comments are great for the algorithm. Keep feeding those comments. You have shitty things to say, go for it. We love it. We welcome it. That being said, a lot of guys have, challenged my masculinity. I said a few things that, in regard to somebody shooting back at an unarmed man. And for me, I was just simply stating that if an unarmed man comes at me, it's probably a safer bet for me to engage him with my hands, as I, some may not believe me in the comments or didn't believe me in the comments, that I've been doing martial arts and boxing my whole life. So yes, I would view that circumstance from a different angle because I know how to defend myself. I've always said, one of the most important things as a man is to learn to defend yourself. Learn to throw a punch. It's one of the things I taught my son. My son's now 22 years old. He does the podcast and the show with us sometimes. And yeah, I mean, one of the most important things you have to learn as a man is to protect yourself, defend yourself. Because if you can't protect yourself, how are you going to protect others? Some people may think that sounds silly, and I know I've explained that to lots of women in my life, clients, friends, over the years. Oh, if you have kids, most important thing you can do, teach them how to throw a punch. And the reason that is because school can be a challenge. We can't fight to eliminate all bullies in this world, but we sure as hell can fight to make sure that your own kid knows how to defend themselves against these particular people. And this Hollywood attack on masculinity, the participation medal generation, I mean, it's all connected. All this stuff is connected. Turn us into a soft, malleable bunch of wimps that can't fight back. This is all kind of tying into also Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia has been going on about some pretty serious stuff, and people are calling him crazy, of course, because he's calling out a lot of evil in Hollywood. He's talking about, let's see if we can find some stories here. Why Ryan Garcia should be more focused on his mental health than upcoming fight with Devin Haney. What is going on with Ryan Garcia? Explaining recent Bohemian Grove controversy surrounding the 25-year-old boxer. Ryan Garcia is set to face Devin Haney in a highly anticipated super lightweight title fight on April 20th in New York. Ahead of one of the biggest fights of his career, Garcia has used social media extensively to promote the fight and trash talk his upcoming opponent. However, he's also made some serious controversial allegations about the Bohemian Grove and its members kidnapping him. In a series of posts on X, followed by a conversation with Andrew Tate on X Spaces, Garcia alleged that he was abducted by members of the hyper-elusive club and was forced to watch underage pornography as part of a ritual. He also clarified that he wasn't on drugs or under the influence of any narcotics. So that's some pretty wild stuff. I mean, anybody who follows these conspiracies and follows, the stuff that I like to talk about, because secret societies, these are the kinds of things that you hear about and they talk about on a regular basis. The whole border crisis is all linked in with the child trafficking, of underage people and the sex trafficking. There's tons and tons and tons of different pieces of the puzzle that are just all over the place. And if you just look, you can put them all together and you can see that this stuff is realer than ever. It's coming out faster than they can control it. And the access to the internet that we all have in our fingertips is forcing this information slowly but surely to roll itself out to the general public. More and more and more people are waking up and starting to realize that these secret societies have infiltrated our governments. They are using corporations to buy and control everything that we love and use and are addicted to, and they're continuing to further the addictions. And Ryan Garcia seems to be, maybe he is high, maybe he is doing drugs. I don't know. He sounds erratic, there's no question, but who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be after what he had suggested he had just seen? Like I said, you've got some pretty scary, powerful people in these high positions. And like I said, when you look into their histories and their educations and all the patterns and the secret societies that are affiliated with their schools, you start to realize that there is something going on here. And it is bigger than what anybody could possibly think or imagine. I didn't believe in it for a long time. I fought the idea and the thoughts that this could be real because it's easier to believe. It's easier to believe that it isn't real. It's easier to believe that we all just exist and we have the free choice to, do whatever it is we want to do. Like we've always been told, you can be whatever you want to be. I mean, that's what we've been told since we were children. So it's really a hard thing for us to not accept as a reality that, the world is being manipulated and it is being controlled. And there were periods in history that I do believe that we did have that freedom to excel in certain areas. But just like the Tate brothers were saying, when it comes to gaining influence, as soon as you start to have it, you will be presented with an opportunity to go beyond that level. And, we've heard about it from Cat Williams was talking about it. That's the whole dress rituals. Of course, Dave Chappelle talked about his $50 million deal and he walked away from. For people not to believe that this is real, you are delusional. you are afraid. And I understand it's easy to be afraid, but that's why I talk so much about, and you know, from what I can tell now that I've been watching some Tate Brothers stuff, they talk a lot about, you know, obviously fighting, as they're both fighters. And, you know, I think it's the most imperative thing for men to become leaders in their own lives. And the way to become a leader in your own life is to take control of your mind and your body. And the best way to do that is through your diet and through exercise and learning how to punch, learning how to throw some punches. Because the moment you gain that confidence in your ability to defend yourself against an unarmed attacker, even, you know, or even an armed attacker, sure, it's unlikely that you're probably going to ever have to use it, but the confidence that comes from it and the confidence that it gives your partner, your girlfriend, your children, to know that their father is a killer, you know, a killer. Like, you got to be a killer if you want to defend your family. And the world is getting crazy. I mean, we don't know what's coming. There could be this civil war coming. There could be a cyber pandemic coming. You're going to have to be ready. And who knows if people start getting drafted off to go and protect the Ukraine. I mean, if that happens, if the U.S. keeps pushing to move in and protect the Ukraine, like the State of the Union just did with Biden, who, you know, in the most ridiculous, aggressive old man manner that, you know, I'm imagining he was probably doped up with as much as they could give him to keep him speaking correctly. And he's still fucked up. But they want to stand with the Ukraine. And what's going to happen if, you know, they start drafting people, or they start realizing that there are no soldiers to send in there anymore? And the American soldiers, what, are we going to start sending American and Canadian soldiers to go fight a war in Ukraine? So you don't know what you're going to have to start prepping for. And men, stop being fucking pussies. The amount of men that comment something like these videos that try to debate their beta male type destiny mentality, just a bunch of pussies. God, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to watch these men. You know, it reminds me of COVID, when grown men used to walk around with masks, hiding from a fucking cold virus that they'd heard many, many friends and family members having, and just fucking walking through, and still wore masks, and then still wear masks to drive in their vehicles. I mean, fuck, man. We're just doomed. Like, we're just doomed. So many weaklings. When COVID hit, man, that's when I woke up and realized that everything I was watching was full of man-hate propaganda. And then Barbie, and, you know, there was actually a good movie that I just watched on Netflix called Damsel. I watched Damsel with Millie Bobby Brown. And I got to say, you know, it was a fun movie. You know, I figured it was going to be a stupid girl power movie. And, you know, if I'm going to be honest, they wrote that well. That they did that movie well. And it was a girl power movie, but it wasn't stupid. It was fun. It's exactly what movies should be. From what I understand, I've been hearing that Millie Bobby Brown is quite the based young lady, and that's cool to hear. But the movie Damsel was pretty fun. I mean, the one thing that I do got to say about these movies is that it is unfortunate to see so much CGI now. Everything is CGI and green screen. Nothing is on location. You know, when I watch the making of the movie Braveheart, or even, you know, the classics Shawshank Redemption, when you watch the makings of these movies, I mean, they were massive productions. And it's just really sad to think that maybe the future of movies is, you know, all CGI and all on set and in studio and never really on location, and no more on location car chase scenes and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I hope that the critics don't try and take that angle with Damsel by saying it's, you know, man-hating propaganda, because it's not at all. I thought they did it really well. I thought it was a fun movie. I would absolutely recommend letting my little nieces watch it. I think they would love it. Well, not my youngest, because there are some scary scenes, but yeah, fun movie. And yeah, I think that that Millie Bobby Brown, she's going to be the new Keira Knightley. That's what I see her as. She just seems like she's going to have a long career. Hopefully they don't get to her too, like they've gotten to Taylor Swift. And what other celebrities can I think of that? I mean, obviously Kelly what's the American Idol girl? Katy Perry. You know, these people. I mean, you know, musical artists definitely, I feel like, get corrupted by the secret societies a lot faster than actresses. I think they carry a lot more influence in their social media, and of course, you know, they tour around and perform for thousands of people, so they usually buy them off pretty quick and hide tons of subliminal messaging in their music and in their shows. I mean, look at some of this demonic music that's going around nowadays. Sam Smith, what a demonic pervert that guy is. Good Lord. And Lil Nas, another demonic little pervert. And now we've got, you know, Puff Daddy coming out of the woodwork as the new Harvey Weinstein. I mean, fuck. How are people in for a fucking second not figuring out that the world is under siege right now? We are under siege. Hopefully people start waking up. I'm going to do my best to kind of keep trying to separate these lies from the truth. And yeah, we'll be doing a lot more of these videos. And that's it. Thanks, Ron.